You are responsible yourself for what you're feeling. The bigger your ego, the bigger the chance that you struggle with yourself. The
Yeah.
more you love yourself, the more you make sure that you're in balance, the lesser you will take things personally.
Today I have with me Frederik Imbo. Frederik has been in more than 40 TV programs, 6 movies including voice work in movies like Harry Potter and Disney films, and since 2005 he has been active as a communication coach and speaker. And before that he obtained a master's degree in neurolinguistic programming, transpersonal coaching and counselling. He studied connective communication in the Netherlands and followed an international intensive training in non-violent communication. Frederik Imbo is a practitioner of insights discovery, a concept that maps the psychological preferences of people, and it's based on the ideas of Carl Gustav Jung. He regularly coaches politicians, business leaders and speakers to increase their impact. And in 2019, he delivered the TEDx talk on how not to take things personally, which with more than 8 million views is the most watched Belgium TED talk ever. I welcome the super energetic, entertaining and talented Frederik Imbo. Welcome Frederik, it's a pleasure to have you here today. Would you like to introduce yourself, Frederik, please?
With pleasure. So hello everyone, my name is Frederik Imbo. I'm Belgian, I'm at this moment 45 years old. My background is in acting. So I went to the theater school and I studied theater for 4 years. I acted in various TV series and films, musicals. But actually, I found out that I wanted something more profoundly. So I was more and more used as a tool in communication trainings, as an actor to do role plays. And I saw so many communication trainers who shared so many interesting tips and insights. So I decided, let's say 25 years ago, to become a trainer myself. So I restudied NLP, nonviolent communication, transpersonal coaching and counseling, insights discovery, and so many things to help people, to nourish people, and to encourage people to become more the owner of their life instead of the poor tenant. So this is what I do. I give keynote speeches. In no COVID times, I do it for very large audiences all around the world, digitally now or live. I give trainings and I provide personal coaching sessions, all for people who have one aim to improve their way of communicating between themselves and other people.
I wasn't fully aware of your acting career and until recently. I was just kind of researching, just having a look. You've done quite a lot in acting, haven't you? Like obviously you studied it, but you've been on quite a lot of television programs and series. None that I'm aware of because I think they're mainly based in Belgium, right? I was having a look on his IMDb. I didn't realize how many you'd partaken in.
The list is quite impressive, and at the
Yeah.
same time, they're all quite small roles. Some were bigger. And to be honest, Richard, I'm not a good actor. Or let me say, I'm not the best actor for that kind of things. I compare myself with real professionals, the real successful actors. It just feels really fair and realistic to say, no, I'm absolutely not the best actor. However, I think in what I do as a speaker, I can use my acting, and this is a specific kind of acting, maybe a bit bigger, exaggerated, to make sure that people understand what I'm doing. So if I give a keynote speech, our presentation, I always shift very quickly between speaking to my audience and then suddenly, what are you doing? Acting something. You see, this acting is quite big, exaggerated. So maybe that was my goal. That was my mission, and not really to become the best actor in TV series. I've done it. It was wonderful to do that, to be surrounded by good actors, a nice crew. I could play in movies in my own country and abroad. So that was a chance that I really took with both hands on. It was a nice period in my life.
Yeah, it's a great experience, and yeah, it's an achievement as well. And I've always wanted to go onto the set of a movie set, just to see how it all works. And I know you can kind of see stuff now online, but it's always interested me. You're a football referee as well, isn't it? It's something that you've learned and you're doing.
Again, here, I love sports,
Yeah.
but I'm not good in it. I love skiing, but I'm not doing it. I love playing squash, but I'm not good in it. I have been raised up by parents who adore football,
Right.
soccer. I don't know, football, soccer, sometimes the words people use. I always loved football. I never really played it myself.
Mm.
And then suddenly I came to a moment in which I realized, hey, shouldn't becoming a football referee be the answer to different questions? I love to run, but I don't like to run without a purpose. So as a referee, I could run with a purpose. I want to see what's happening. Two, I wanted to practice myself how not to take things personally, because it was a honest, real choice to become the referee for that second reason, because I knew as a communication coach how it works, how not to
Yeah.
take things personally. In theory, I could explain this to other people, but doing it myself was, however, another cup of tea. And so I really wanted to exercise this theory. I wanted to practice myself. And so thus, yes, I decided a couple of years ago to become that football referee.
So I think that leads us on quite nicely then to getting onto the subject of how to
Mhm.
not take things personally. Tell us how to not take things personally, Frederick.
Can I ask you, because then it's nicer for me as well. What are one of the things, Richard, that you sometimes take personally? What happens? What do people, or what don't do people in order to to give you that feeling of, oh, come on, I take it personally.
I mean, look, I must admit, I would say I'm quite good at not taking things personally. And I think, and the only reason being is I think because I've been in the space of learning and development for such a long time, and I've given a lot of feedback, but I've also had a lot of feedback. And I've always just been quite an open guy in terms of taking feedback. I see it as an area for growth, and I'll always take it if somebody's there. I think the worst bit is when somebody doesn't tell you, but if someone's got a problem or they want to tell you, and then there's been an instance in my career where I'd worked with somebody for a couple of years, and I always thought I had a good relationship with them, and it was 2 years later that they gave me some feedback that they found me intimidating in one. There was one instance where we'd had a meeting, and I mean that was completely new to me, and I was quite shocked by that. I didn't take it personally. I think I was just more shocked that they never felt comfortable enough to come and tell me. But yeah, some things that do I what things do I take personally? Difficult to answer that really for me.
Can I
Um,
can I tell you why I assume you don't take things personally, Richard?
yeah, please.
Let it be a compliment,
Yeah.
because I think you told it yourself. I'm an open guy,
Hmm.
and I will even go a bit further. I think that you truly love yourself,
Yeah, yeah.
and if
Yeah,
you
yeah, I do, yeah.
truly have a good relationship with yourself,
Yeah.
which which will ring more a bell if I explain the second strategy,
Hmm.
then you will almost never take something personally, because you're in peace with yourself, you're in harmony with yourself.
Yeah.
So let's put it to the second strategy, and I will come back to that. The first
Yeah.
strategy is, well, people might take things personally when, for example, they are talking to somebody and the other person is not paying attention, is just looking on his smartphone, or you really worked hard on a project and the only thing you get is criticism,
Mm.
or you invite a friend to go to the movies or for a walk. She replies, no, I have no time. But you find out that she did something else with someone else.
Hmm.
Well, people have tendency then to take it personally, to believe
Yeah.
that the other one did something that was the cause
Hmm.
of their feeling. And so what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
tell in my first strategy is, what somebody does can never be the cause of what you're feeling. You are responsible yourself for what you're feeling. And so what we feel is always a consequence of what you have thought. If I think, no, if I talk to you, you should listen to me,
Yeah.
this thought will lead to a feeling of startled, and will
Yeah.
lead to, come on, you cannot do that. And if I, on top of that believed that you should take my needs into account, well, then for sure I will have taken all of this personally. So my first strategy is shift your focus from what you feel and responsible of the other, put it upside down. The other one is not responsible. The other one is responsible for what he does, not for how you take it. So if I change my perspective from how I feel to, but wait a minute, why did the other one look on his smartphone? Why did the other one lie? To use your example, why was he not honest to me? Why did the other one give me criticism instead of positive feedback? It was not deliberately to harm me, to hurt me. No, it was because at that moment, that person thought it was the best thing to do. And they were at that moment simply not aware or not enough aware. They couldn't bring up the effort to put themselves in your shoes. So they were only thinking about themselves at that moment. And so thus they were doing what they're doing because they wanted to fulfill a specific need, which is apparently not in harmony with your needs at that moment. But okay, they did what they did, and it was because they wanted to fulfill a specific strategy, a need. So if I look at this from this perspective, I will say, okay, sometimes I even do it myself, not listening to someone and thinking that, oh God, this text message is more important now. Yeah, sorry, I was not paying attention. I do not do this, Richard, to hurt you or to make it difficult for you. I just do it because at that moment, I'm not aware of how you feel. And so looking at the other person's perspective, thinking, this is not about me, will help you as a first strategy to not take it personally. I will even go a step further. The best version of yourself is at that moment to shift your attention from, come on, I take it personally, to, okay, what does this person need right now? And for example, when he lashes out, where were you yesterday? You were always late. And you take it personally, is instead of taking it personally, giving the other person empathy, even saying, Richard, I see that you're really angry. Tell me about what did I do that made you so mad? I can see so much frustration in your voice. So instead of taking it personally, giving the other one the present, the real present, to ask him, to invite him to tell more about his frustration, will lead to more connection. And this is actually my goal in life, to have as much as connection between myself and other people.
It's about giving them the not feedback per se, but it's just putting it back to them, reflecting back and pushing back the problem that you might feel back to them.
For example, I do it as a referee.
Yeah.
It's so weird. A trainer shouts something. Are you blind? Okay, if I really see that he's really angry, first is, I'm not blind. I'm doing my best. And I take it personally.
Yeah.
The best thing I can do is to run towards that trainer or after the match and just invite him to talk, to say, okay, I could see that you were absolutely not happy with my decision there. You did not agree. Tell me, what did you see? And believe me, just asking that question, not in a cynical way, but honestly, truly,
With empathy. Yeah.
with empathy, asking this question leads first to, is this guy serious? And then they can vent, they can wind down and say, yeah. And then almost always they tell me as a referee, sorry for my reaction. I was maybe a bit aggressive, but and then I say, no, it's normal. Listen, this is an emotional game. It's normal that sometimes we do not agree and that you will become emotional. And I always truly feel and experience this as a moment of connection where the other one, maybe hopefully for the first time, feels like, okay, this is a referee who does not want to be right. He simply wants to connect. And so if people hurt you, sometimes they do deliberately hurt you. If you could then empathize with them instead of taking it personally, you will see that that will create a connection, that will create harmony, that will even create mutual understanding. By giving understanding towards the other person, chances increase that you will get understanding as well.
Hmm.
People will say, now I can also see how maybe my words, my actions were not nice for you. It's literally a choice. It's choosing between, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? It's
Yeah, yeah.
truly choosing between focusing on me, myself, and I, and focusing on we. How does the other one experience this? Why did the other one do something like this? Why did he act in that manner?
Mm.
Asking yourself, how does the other one look on the reality from his point of view?
There's a book called The Chimp Paradox. And the book is about we have two sides to us. We have that primitive chimp side, and then we have the human side. And it's the chimp, it's when the chimp gets out, and that's when we lose our emotions, don't we? We kind of overreact to things. But what happens internally is it doesn't make us feel very good. You're absolutely right. You choose to be happy, or you choose, how you feel about that instance. If you're getting, annoyed with somebody, like you said, that's a great example as well of being on your phone, because it's just such a big thing now, isn't it? It happens all the time. You're talking to somebody or you're in a meeting and people are on their phones and you're like, well, are you listening? But it's how you react to that, isn't it?
Yeah, and of course, it's easy to say, yeah, shift your focus from me to we. And it's interesting what you say because, of course, there is a lot of things on the background there. We should understand how humans work. You're
Yeah.
talking about the chimps. Well, we should know that we have different parts in our brain. We
Mm.
have the amygdala and we have the prefrontal neocortex.
Yeah.
The amygdala is the part of our brain who's responsible for the quick responses, emotional responses. So like, I feel angry, betrayed, and of course I believe that is the fault of the other person. He's responsible for it, and so does he has to punish. I will punish him for it because he deserves punishment. You don't treat me like this. This is the fighting part in ourselves.
Yeah.
The other part in ourselves, the same part of amygdala is freezing, like I can't say anything any longer, and the other one is okay. Jesus, I run away.
Fight, flight, or freeze. Yeah.
Running away. So flight,
Yeah.
fight, or freeze. And in our amygdala, we are not simply not neurotical, not able to reflect upon ourselves, even not reflect upon the situation.
Mm.
The only thing we need to understand is that we need at least 10 seconds, at least sometimes a day, to let sink that emotional triggers in our head. Those triggers evolve and shift from the amygdala to the prefrontal neocortex. That's the part in our brain where we are able to reflect. We cannot put ourselves in the other person's shoes when we are at that moment in our amygdala. We can only do that if we feel, okay, we've calmed down again. Why did he do what he did? Why did he call me selfish? Why did he shout at me? Maybe because he felt really frustrated and he found no other way than shouting or reproaching me things. Oh, yeah. And then because my needs that I had at that moment and which have not been fulfilled will also have alleviated a bit,
Yeah.
then I will also be able to see that I felt really outrageous in that moment and the other person felt something else.
Mm.
So it's a big trick. It's a key takeaway, simple key takeaway. When you feel like, "Arr!" and you really want to punish the other one, or you want to flight, or you just simply freeze, give yourself time. Give
Yeah.
yourself time to calm down and even say to the other person, sorry, Richard, what you're doing now, I take it personally. I see it and I choose not to react because I will do or say things that I will regret. So
Mhm.
I come back to it and please allow me a moment for myself. It's actually giving yourself a timeout to
Yeah.
tell the other one, I'm afraid that I will say things that will not be nice for you. So to protect that moment of harming you or doing something that is detrimental is good to prepare yourself to say these kind of lines.
Yeah.
I stop myself here. I will say things that I will regret. Of course, on emails and text messages, you can You can literally choose. However, my amygdala wants to answer immediately. Does he treat me like this? I will answer him.
We've all done that as well. Well, I have. Keyboard. Somebody I work with, he calls it keyboard warrior. So when you respond to something where you can tell there's maybe a little bit of anger there.
Our ego finds it
Yes.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Our ego thinks, yeah, and now I will tell him how I feel about it. If you ask people, if you look on this behavior, do you find this a loving behavior? No. Is this version you would like to be? No. Okay. What version would you like to be? Okay. I would like to react in a more emotional adult way. So let me calm down. But it's hard, Richard, to correct yourself. Do you know how many thoughts we have a day?
No, I don't know the exact number, but I know it's in the thousands, maybe millions.
50,000 thoughts a day. And guess how many of them are positive?
I don't know, not many, because you're asking me the question.
Exactly. Only 10,000 thoughts are negative. So this means that 80% of what we think are negative thoughts. We can explain this. We were, as human beings, million years ago, we had to survive. So, Richard, did we occupy our days by thinking, okay, what TV program will I watch tonight? Or what is the purpose of my life? No. We were thinking, okay, are there no animals to kill us? Will no one come and steal my property? So we had to be on our guard. And because we had to be on our guard, of course, we were much more problem-oriented. Research has found out that our brain, however, the society has evolved, has become more secure, that our brain did not evolve. So we are still that negative, problem-oriented thinkers who are focused much more on the negative than on the positive. So that's also the reason why we love to watch the TV news and to see all the bad things that are happening in the world. Well, actually, that this is what our brain loves to do, to seek the negative in things. When you enter a place and two colleagues look at you, at the same moment they start to laugh, you will not think, oh, they maybe will have noticed my new headphones and they like them. No, you will think, oh, what did I do wrong? Did I do wrong something here? Or
by wearing something that they don't like?
Am I wearing something that they don't like? So it's normal. And if we could look on ourselves like, okay, here again, I'm in my negative survivor part and I'm thinking negative. Okay, what is going on? Come on, let me ask it. And you can even speak up, ask those colleagues, oh, you were laughing. What is going on? And so in 90% of the cases, they will or lie or they will just say, no. We were talking about who's a handsome guy here in our company, and you passed, and we thought that you were handsome. That's the reason why we laughed. So you see, just checking it out, because our negative part of our brain is always thinking about, no, there is a problem.
I love this subject. I think it's something a lot of people do take a lot of things personally. There's a couple of bits I'd like to touch on that you've mentioned. The first part is the ego piece. I think this is absolutely where most of this stems from, isn't it? Is how we think of ourselves, and everyone's egos are different. Some of us are better at controlling our egos and maybe not having such a large ego. But for the people that do have bigger egos, how do you help them with this? Because I think they're the people that are generally, I'm probably generalizing a bit here, but somebody who's got struggles to manage their ego, they're the people that are probably going to take things more personally than others.
I absolutely agree. The bigger your ego, the bigger the chance that you struggle with yourself. If you are a person who is insecure, who is doubting about himself, maybe who never got positive feedback or was encouraged to love themselves, it's so hard because what we all want is being loved and being acknowledged. So our ego will grow because, hey, it really wants to get that love and acknowledgement. So it will make other people responsible. They will have to make you happy. And so I will use everything in my power. Yeah, but I think that I'm right there. They will even steal the thing of I want to be right. And if I coach people, I tell them maybe it's a good moment now to see, did it really bring you happiness? All that stealing, all that blowing up yourself, and their answer is no. I think the first step is to acknowledge that you are feeling insecure, that you're doubting on yourself, that there's a lot of pain inside of you, that there is a lot of seeking for love. But the strategy that so far you have been using is to steal love and to reproach, to be nasty, to lie, to blow yourself up, and to simply acknowledge that this does not really help you.
Yeah.
The first step is to say, Richard, I was in my ego. Yeah, and I don't want to be this person. If you do that, if you are so courageous to do that, the advantage and the reward is that, wow, there will fall off your shoulders such an enormous weight, and people will feel much more connected. I love the moment when people are vulnerable to talk about their feelings.
Yeah.
I was lashing out because I was afraid to not get what I wanted. And because I was so afraid, I lashed out and I really wanted to get what I wanted. So please just see my struggle. I would like to be seen, heard, taken into account. What happens is that if you speak about yourself, if you open yourself, people have much more tendency to feel connected with you. So talk about your feelings and talk about what needs are not met and taking responsibility for them. No one is responsible for your feelings about yourself. No one is responsible for meeting your needs. You have to make sure that you find a strategy to meet those needs, which does not mean that you have to do it all on your own. You can always ask someone.
Yeah.
If you are my boss and I only get criticism by you, so the first strategy is not about me. Okay, maybe he's a very demanding person, but however, I feel like I take it personally. Well, then the second strategy, I know it is about me. I know that I struggle with not being rewarded and acknowledged myself. Maybe I was never acknowledged as a child, or I struggle with myself and finding myself a valuable person. And instead of criticizing, I come up and I say, Richard, your words and your 10 negative points that you outlined about my work really hurted me. I was sad and I felt disappointed. And I was really feeling at that moment that I did not do anything right. So I just would like to share you that I also need some positive encouragement. But tell me now, when will you be more motivated to give me positive feedback? If I express myself in this manner, or I say, okay, good, yeah, all right, good, yeah. And if there are other things that you don't happy with, just tell me, or maybe you need to replace myself here in the company. In which cases would you be more encouraged to listen to me? First one or the second one?
Yeah. Well, the first one, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
If you open up, something happens. Something magically happens because you show yourself and you take responsibility for it. The ego does not want to be unmasked, is that a word? It does not want to hear that, okay, ego is ego. It does not want to hear that, hey, sorry, this was my ego speaking. Unmask the ego means...
Yeah, unreveal it.
Unreveal it, exactly. That was what I was seeking. It's just saying, oh, this was my ego.
Or reveal, sorry, not unreveal. I don't think unreveal is an English word. I've just made one up. Reveal.
To reveal yourself means, okay, it was my ego. To admit it, very disarming to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, I was in my ego. Sorry for that. I was afraid of your reaction. So I used my ego. Okay, I put my ego aside and let me talk about what's going on. I get mad when you treat me like this. And very important tip is that you have to show that the problem is within you. The problem is not within the other one. The other one does what he does. You should take responsibility for this and say, well, if I struggle with this, I'm in trouble. And please help me out. You could help me by doing this or this or this. Instead of, yeah, the problem is within you. You do what you did and this is wrong. No. You are allowed to do what you want. And I can look at myself and I can tell myself, okay, here, I'm in trouble. I feel pain. I feel hurt. And invite the other one to do something with it, to ask him, to invite him. and tell the other
Yeah.
person what you need.
And the other person will, you're focused on what's in your control. But what will happen anyway from a result of that is that the other person, you would hope, would probably learn. If you came up and you were inviting yourself and saying, look, like this made me feel like this. So just like you to, give me some more positive feedback, like you're saying, the other person's probably going to learn from that anyway and think, actually, maybe I need to look at the way that I give feedback or whatever the problem was. You would think they'd probably learn from it as a result, wouldn't you?
Especially because you take responsibility for your own feelings. If you don't tell what's wrong with the other person, Richard, I really think that you are too demanding. The reaction will be too demanding. I'm not too demanding. I'm your boss. I'm just asking what I want. You will defend yourself. If I tell you, if I only get negative feedback, I feel discouraged. There's nothing wrong with you. Now you know that, ooh, you don't want a person who feels discouraged. And so your heart will open up and you will say, okay, ooh. And that's the moment, indeed, like you said, that the person will learn something about himself and will say, oh, what can I do? I was not aware of the fact that I was only providing negative feedback. What can I do to make life nicer for you? Only exception is that when the other person is in his amygdala, when he's in his ego, then he will say, come on, come on, come on. And then if you recognize this, like, okay, good. No, this is not the moment to talk about because he's still in his ego, he's still in his amygdala, he wants to be right. Then the best choice is to give empathy and to say, again, I see that you really want me to perform better. And you thought it was the right thing to give me all the negative feedback or to not listen to me, to be on your smartphone, to try to name what you think is going on with the other person. And if the other person then calms down, then again, you can say, from my perspective, I was missing this and this and this, without having a subtext in which you say, and you are responsible for that. What I really like is that the metaphor of people who are pointing their finger at someone else. The other one is in fault because he did that and he did that, and it's because of you that I feel this. But actually, we are not aware that apart from one finger pointing at the other person, that at the same time there are three fingers pointing at ourselves. Oh, yeah, here. Why am I feeling what I'm feeling? What do I need? What do I feel? How can I communicate this to the other person? Instead of pointing at the other person, taking into account the three fingers pointing at yourself. So taking responsibility for that. Yeah. And in a humorous way, I tell people, well, if you point your finger at someone else and you think, well, everywhere I go, it smells like shit, well, maybe you should first look in your own pants.
I've never seen that analogy before, the pointing finger. I like that. What are the most common things people take personally? Because I think you've mentioned a couple already, like the looking at the phone. I should imagine that's probably up there. Talking while not listening or not looking to somebody's eyes when they're talking.
It all comes back to, I think, the top three needs of people. We want to be seen, we want to be heard, and we want to be acknowledged. And that's okay. Everyone has those needs. All the things that can happen that have to do with those three are maybe the most sensitive things. Mm-hmm. And also maybe respected. I want respect. I want respect. I want respect. Everyone wants respect. But we forget that sometimes we lack respect ourselves in how we treat other people. Everyone has another definition of what is respect. Yeah. No one will say, yeah, I think what I'm doing is not really respectful. No, they will say, yeah, but I was respectful. And they forget that the other one has another definition of what is respect to them. You don't come late on meetings. Well, I was late, but I said sorry. I was respectful. Well, for the other one, who's a more organized person and who always comes on time, is simply the fact that you come late, not respectful. If you could name them, Richard, I know how important it is for you that I come on time. I'm sorry I was not respectful. And I imagine that you feel frustrated if every time again you're on time, you respect being on time, and I come late. Then you will have touched the other person. Instead of saying, yeah, but I apologize for being late. That's not what the other one wants to hear. First of all, the other one wants you to be on time. And secondly, the other one wants you to hear saying, I know it's important for you that you want me to be on time. So you can always ask the other one, what's important for you? or when you feel the other one takes something personally, ask the other one, which need, it's a weird question, but okay, we can ask it. Which need has not been fulfilled by myself for you that made you taking this personally? You will learn something from the other person, and you will help the other person to reflect upon himself.
And a lot of what you said today is good for anybody who has to take feedback as well. Fits in, doesn't it? Exactly the same way. Because a lot of people, if you get feedback or you're giving feedback, it's important to understand how somebody's feeling and how they're reacting. Yeah, in a business setting, well, not even in a business setting, I suppose it doesn't really matter. It could be any time. But if you're given feedback, it's about how do you deal with that, and how do you make the most out of it? How do you get the best return on investment out of being given feedback? And I think a lot of what you touched on today helps with that.
Again, it's about thinking in terms of feelings and needs. What does the other one feel behind his feedback, and which needs are important for the other person? And then really trying to understand, okay, what would you love me to do or not do in order to helping your needs being met? First strategy, it's not about me, it's about the other person's unmet needs. Secondly, it is about me speaking up. And you said, when I asked you, well, I don't easily take things personally. And I said, well, that's, I think, because you're happy with yourself. The
Yeah.
more you love yourself, the more you make sure that you're in balance, the lesser you will take things personally.
Mhm.
So I would encourage everyone to invest in themselves, in love, in loving themselves, in a nice way to themselves, in trying to find ways to fulfill their needs. I know that you are chasing your dreams. I know that you have a company in India. I know that you're writing a book. I can fully see that you are taking responsibility for chasing your dreams and trying to fulfill the needs that you have inside of yourself. So the more you make sure that you have good friends, that you eat healthy, that you sleep good, that
Yeah.
you talk in a positive manner to yourself, the more we will create people like Richard Rozza who will love themselves and who will be happy with themselves. And so I really hope this can happen and everyone can be inspired by other people in their surroundings who feel balanced with themselves.
Yeah, it's a lovely way to finish as well. And it's nice that you reflected back to the beginning of the call. It is about how you feel about yourself. And, as you mentioned earlier, people that, look, it's sad, and look, we all have insecurities, there'll be things that I'm insecure about, little things, but it's just how you deal with it and how you manage it and how it makes, managing how it makes you feel. It's easier said than done, isn't it, as well? It's not, you know.
Saying I'm insecure and inviting the other one to take into account is much more constructive than no, I feel insecure and I will hide it, and the other one should make me happy because yeah, he should know that I'm insecure. Then you become
Yeah.
a victim. You should not
Yeah.
become a victim. We
Mm.
are alive. We are having a wonderful life, and we
Yeah.
can make the best out of it by
Mm.
trying to fulfill our needs and to
Yeah.
reach out to people. Sharing that we are struggling sometimes with ourselves will increase the chance that people will be willing to help us.
Look, I'd just like to say a huge thank you for taking your precious time out to come here. It's just been like one of the things I did reflect on before we had our call today was I feel quite blessed with, quite lucky with all the guests that I've had previously. It's just, and it's communicating and I suppose networking almost to a point. Meeting new people from around the globe. Obviously,
Mhm.
you're in Belgium. Next week, I'm speaking to somebody who's in Vienna. I've got people that I've been speaking to in India, the US. It's just like I feel it's nice to speak to people from other areas of the world, because other people have different perspectives which are need to be heard as well. So look, firstly, thank you for your time, Frederick. Really appreciate it, and
Thank
your
you very
words of
much,
wisdom.
and thank you for your
Yeah.
interest, and thank you for everyone who watched this and listened to it for their interest.
And I suppose let's just finish with anyone that wants to reach out to you, Frederick. Where would they go? How do they? Well, I think if you just type your name in Google, there's loads of stuff anyway. But you have your own company, don't you? And
Yeah, we have a company called Imboorling,
mhm,
which is Imboorling.be. And then you can choose there for English, and you can for sure find an email address And if you want to reach out, you can directly email me, Frederik@imboorling.be. And I will be very glad to get your responses, answers, and I will definitely respond to them. And if I don't do it immediately, please don't take it personally.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Take
With
care.
pleasure, Richard. Thank you.
If you'd like to reach out to Frederik, then we have left the links in the description. This has been Richard Rozza and Frederik Imbo. Peace out.